Okay, everybody, I'm doing this fairly late, and I am as tired as I'll get go. In fact, it's 1:19 a.m. But I just came back from an advanced screening for Godzilla King of the Monsters down at the ArcLight Cinema in Hollywood on Sunset Boulevard. And I'm very happy to say that the movie blew away my expectations. Granted, I kind of went in with low expectations just because, obviously they're never going to make a Godzilla movie as awesome as the one that plays in my head. But for what it is, it works perfectly. And the best way I can describe it is that they take all the elements that works in both the Godzilla 2014, the kind of dour apocalyptic seriousness, alongside with the more childlike adventure and overall brighter action-filled tone of Kong Skull Island, and used it both in a singular film while still adding and embracing a lot of the childlike madness that the Godzilla franchise has been littered with. I know that a lot of fans, um, some of the more diehard critics of the and supporters of this franchise or this whole film series, prefers the more serious side of Godzilla, the apocalyptic dread from the original movie, the strong metaphors and all that. But let's face it, the vast majority of Godzilla movies are these insanely quaint fantasy adventure movies that are very colorful. And we're up to, like, I think 33 movies so far, and yes, I'm counting all the American ones and the anime trilogy, unfortunately. We have like 33 of these movies, and there's a good reason why these films continue to be made, despite the general consensus that it is a niche fandom. Although, I don't know how mainstream audiences will feel about this movie come this weekend. Because the audience I was with was a mix between Godzilla fans who got their advance tickets early from a King Kong vs. Godzilla revival screening about 2 weeks ago, down somewhere near Sunset Boulevard at the Vesta Theater. I was among the lucky people who got on that list, as well as a large group of, like, early screeners, people who go to these advanced screenings as a habit through the Warner Brothers website, who generally wanted to see this movie. I doubt they were like diehard Godzilla fans like I am, but the buzz I got from the line that I was briefly standing in before I realized I could just go inside, say my name, and get an early seat. They generally seem excited about this movie. So I was with a very good crowd, and I was afraid I was going to be among a lot of people who were just going to talk throughout the movie and do all that stuff. By the way, this is a commission I need to finish before Friday, so I am going to be crunching the hell out of it. And it's on my own damn fault, to be honest. But yeah, this is something I'm going to be working on stop the next 2 days, and I am not looking forward to the crunch time. So although artwork is a lot easier than trying to redesign the Sonic the Hedgehog from scratch, right, ladies and gentlemen? But I was with a very good audience. They were enjoying the film throughout. And it's a very meat and potatoes type movie, or meat and potatoes movie, in the sense that it cuts all the fat and gets right to what the audiences want. And that is a lot of great monster action, with a lot of strong human suspense and adventure elements in between. In fact, it quickly sets up its premise quickly in the first 15 minutes. It didn't even feel, maybe even less than that. And this goes full on with the Great Monster Awakening. Now, I'm not going to do any spoilers, because I know that the only reason I'm doing this vlog is because, one, I'm very tired. Two, this keyboard I have sucks, and I'm not in the mood to write a full extensive review. And I notice a lot of critics that I follow are starting to post their Godzilla reviews, so I think it's okay to talk about this movie. But I'm not going to go too much into spoilers beyond some basic thoughts on the monsters themselves. This is what I'm going to read out what I quickly posted on my Facebook groups. Guess who caught an advanced screening earlier tonight? The new movie mixes the better elements from both Godzilla 2014 and Kong Skull Island into a singular feature while still having a much needed laugh alongside the audience, embracing the childlike madness that has been the backbone of the overall series, with plenty of levity. Um, King Ghidorah is a magnificent bastard. Godzilla is a cowboy in white. Mothra is sweet if sadly brief, and Rodan has never been nastier. Human characters, while not breakthroughs, are more than welcomed as the movie cuts the fat and gets right to the meat of what audiences came to see. Brutal giant monster fights and good human suspense in between. The film is a real crowd pleaser that only the horribly cynical, flippant, and extreme wet blankets will hate. Um, that might include a lot of Godzilla fans who prefer their Godzilla 100% straight-faced. And I know there's a couple of people like that in my immediate circle of friends who might, although they're good people beyond that, but still, it's like this is not the movie. These are the people who want to go see they want to see the Seventh Seal, and instead they're getting Godzilla's Revenge. This is definitely better than Godzilla's Revenge, I will say that. Okay, back to the reading. Stay for the end credits for a much-deserved tribute surprise, and I'm not just talking about the music. Now, I am going to say I will get into a little bit of spoilers. There is a lot of in-jokes and Easter eggs, both subtle and anything but subtle, spread throughout this entire movie. Especially one gag involving a suitable replacement for the Mothra fairies that had the audience basically clapping and rolling with laughter, and you'll know it when you see it. I doubt there's any supernatural explanation for why this particular character and her legacy is the way it is, but it's just a funny little coincidence slash gag that harkens back to Mothra's famous priestesses. In the end credits, uh, it felt like I was just finishing watching like one of the more contemporary Godzilla movies, where you know how Shin Godzilla took a bunch, or Godzilla vs. Destroyer took a bunch of musical beats from various Godzilla movies as it was playing as the credits rolled. You get that definitely with the American film. Now, with that said, the audio mixing, just like the 2014 movie, the sound effects were great. But the music kind of suffered terribly by being overwhelmed or buried by the sound effects, which is a shame because there are a lot of classical Godzilla motifs in musical history, as well as a fairly good score in general. However, in the end credits, they definitely pay tribute to the famous Godzilla and Mothra theme songs. But the tribute at the very end was very heartwarming because not only was it done in text, but it was also done visually. I also enjoyed, you know how most movies these days, when they do the initial main credits, you know, like the main stars, the directors, the writers, the producers, before going to the scrolling credits, and they'll sometimes do some kind of like cutesy visual thing, like recently with Avenger Endgame, when they did the whole bowing of the cast, they would show stock footage from the past Marvel movies, and then ending with the main Avengers like signing off Star Trek, the Undiscovered Country way. They do something similar, but it's definitely more jokey, and it's kind of a fun joke too. Basically, the world is better off with Godzilla, and ridiculously so. It's like I had no idea Godzilla was the equivalent of Captain Planet. I'll just say that. But no, there's a very beautiful and lovely little tribute at the end to both I'm not going to say it. I want you guys to sit and watch, read it for yourself and see it. Sorry if I'm doing the ums. Again, I'm tired as hell. But yeah, there's two very beautiful tributes at the very end, and it's not just in text, but visually, and it was much appreciated. We have, okay, King Kong, despite what some people will say, There is no uh, fifth. There is no like old Toho monster that makes an appearance at the end. All those they're referring to King Kong basically, who shows up quite a bit throughout this movie. In a lot of extended cameos. Some of it seems to be footage from Kong Skull Island being reused, but then there seems to be some new footage, like video footage of King Kong walking through his woods, almost a la like the famous Patterson film with Bigfoot. So King Kong is in this movie quite a bit, even if it's an extended cameo. Um, Same thing with the Mutos. I know a lot of people say they just appear as a corpse at one of the Monarch bases, but no, there's a lot of reused stock footage of the Mutos themselves, as well as now I'm getting to some spoiler territory here, as well as a brand new Muto, and no, not Muto Prime from the recent Godzilla Aftershocks tie-in comic book. No, this is a brand new Muto that I will refer to as the fourth Muto, who looks a lot like the female Muto, except smaller and much brighter, in a much brighter gray color. So yeah, we have a brand new Muto in this movie, although he, she, it just has an extended cameo. Much better than Varan's barely seen presence in Destroy All Monsters, which a lot of people are claiming in early reviews. That goes with a bunch of, like, technically this movie has a lot of monsters, like 17 at least. Unfortunately, the vast majority of those monsters are off screen. Their names are mentioned on computer locators, but they are never truly seen, minus a handful. And of course, this is not counting the big Toho 4, Mothra, Rodan, King Ghidorah, Godzilla, and King Kong, who appear quite a bit throughout the movie. But there are a handful, 4 new monsters we see quite a bit throughout the movie. And I do want to mention them. Oh, by the way, the computer locators, I know a lot of the names of these monsters, these off-screen monsters, these unseen but mentioned monsters, have been posted on various news websites. But this is definitely going to be a movie where people are going to be taking their pause buttons with the Blu-ray and try to look at each and every name located, because apparently Quetzalcoatl, a brand new one separate from the one from the Godzilla animated series, is apparently one of the Titans, as well as, I'm probably going to get its name wrong, Mokilia Membe, the famous Congo-dwelling brontosaurus of legend, cryptozoology, and of course the decent 1980s movie Baby Secret of the Last Legend. So yeah, Mokilia Membe is apparently a monster in the Monsterverse, which is okay. I hope maybe we'll see some official artwork of these unseen monsters, but I doubt it. It's like, if there was supposed to be an art of Godzilla King of the Monsters book, it seems to have never been made. And also, sadly, considering the vast, like, what is it? There was so much artwork and creature designs made for Kong Skull Island but when you actually get the official art book itself, they pathetically only show like a small handful of those characters, and you got to go on DeviantArt and ArtStation just to see these various creature designs, and then end up in the final movie, which is a real shame. And I think that would happen if we ended up getting a new Godzilla art book, which is a damn shame. But the 3 new monsters beyond this 4th Muto we do see is okay. In the trailers you see these gigantic scorpion-like crab legs coming out of the desert ground. That creature's actually more aquatic looking than I expected. It's like a giant spider crab, but with a squid-like face, very reminiscent of Cthulhu. And I think this monster is called Scale, based on the famous creature from Greek mythology. But I'm just doing a guess here based on some of the things my editors on Wikizilla have mentioned. And plus, it's a desert monster, which, although looks aquatic, I don't know if it really is aquatic. It could be like one of those weird flukes of evolution where it's an aquatic creature that has become a complete land dweller. And then there is the giant rock mountain looking quadruped creature that you do see briefly in the trailers. That creature, I think, is Methuselah or something like that. Methuselah. It's a cool looking monster, but it's the most unseen of the four creatures. And it's basically just like a huge walking mountain like beast. Um, what is Gorgos, a living alien rock monster from Ultra Q. I think that's the best way to describe this creature in question. It's kind of an updated version of that monster. But the one new Titan, as they're now calling these creatures, I thought was cool was a humanoid type woolly mammoth creature that is referred to as the behemoth in the final closing credit gag sequence. I won't reveal it, but apparently he. I won't say it. It just, you need to see the movie itself. It's very brief, but it's like, really. It's like you're kind of going overboard with the kaiju are good for people and other living creature joke here. But this monster apparently is referred to as behemoth, and it has a gorilla-like body. But overall, it's very much a gigantic woolly mammoth, complete with these massive trunks. And I know somebody online actually thought that it was just King Kong with two large fangs, but no, it's a giant woolly mammoth with a semi-humanoid gorilla-ish body. And I thought that creature looked really cool. We need more elephant-like beasts in kaijudom. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to get this record straight about the monsters, especially since there's so many conflicting reports. Like, for example, a lot of reports have noted that Kong is only mentioned by name, but no, he's visually seen a lot throughout the movie. Ridiculously so. It's like, yeah. Oh god, that alone might be enough to, keep this movie from being re-released in the future, because Universal's will have the rights over it, sort of like how Universal has complete control over King Kong versus Godzilla, King Kong Escapes here in the United States. But no, I just needed to geek out about the monsters a bit. Let's talk about the big four, though, before I close out this video. Now, there's been a lot of criticism about this legendary Godzilla being too much of a hero character and missing the point of his more dark, villainous, antagonistic nature in some of the better Japanese Godzilla movies. But it works. Like that's the great thing about this whole series. There are so many different versions of Godzilla that, yeah, it might piss off some fans who want like a singular continuity, and of course it confuses the hell out of people who don't get this stuff, who don't understand how this stuff works. For example, I showed GMK, the famous 2001 Godzilla movie, to a couple of friends, and I had to basically calm them down at the end of the movie because they were just fuming and furious about why is Godzilla a villain? Isn't he supposed to be a good guy? Where's Minya? And I had to sit them down and tell them that no, it's a standalone movie. It's not connected to other movies. And after like 20 minutes, they finally got it. But yeah, screw that. It's like I'm happy that we have so many different versions of Godzilla. And if we're gonna have like I said, he's a cowboy in white, coming in at the last minute to save all other heroes we love. Taking up, being the big guy in charge as far as all these monsters go. In fact, there's a wonderfully ridiculous scene at the end where Godzilla literally takes the title of King of the Monsters. You need to see it for yourselves. King Ghidorah, however, is a very good heavy in this movie. He's not as personalities filled as news reports have gone out to make him. But there is enough. That's the thing about Japanese monsters. They're not as emotive as, say, Boris Karloff's Frankenstein or many of the creatures that Guillermo del Toro makes in his films, like Pan's Labyrinth and Hellboy. But giant Japanese monsters definitely have more personality through little character moments, both subtle and major, and sometimes absurd, than, say, most giant monsters in American horror movies, who are just either just mindless killing machines or just giant animals with no real souls to them. So yeah, there's a lot of like really good little moments with Godzilla and Mothra and King Ghidorah and Rodan in this. But yeah, Godzilla's a full blown hero in this, and like attempts to try to say that he's a good guy for now at towards the end of the movie doesn't really work because yeah, this is the most heroic we've seen Godzilla since the 70s movies, and I'm okay with it. You know, more than okay with it. You want a villainous Godzilla, you have the Heisei version, you have Shin Godzilla, you have the multiple Millennium Godzillas, the original Showa era Godzilla, the 1954 Godzilla. You're okay. You got plenty of villain Godzillas. Don't whine about it, kid. Mothra is really cool in this movie, but unfortunately she's very brief and briefly seen throughout the movie. So don't go in here thinking that Mothra is going to be a major part of the whole film. So much so that they seem to hint that Godzilla and Mothra are old friends, and they even have a bit of a relationship. Not exactly a romantic one, but they're definitely friends or allies. But unfortunately, because Mothra is so barely seen in a movie, other than a throwaway line of dialogue, they give her the official title, Queen of the Monsters, the official monarch, I should say, moniker of Queen of the Monsters. But she doesn't interact with Godzilla enough that we really get that. Although there is a scene where she seems to be calling for Godzilla in her own angelic way. But no, it's a really cool character. And there's a little bit of an Easter egg hinting that the Mothra legacy continues. By the way, I'm so happy to do this little vlog by myself because every time I do podcasts with other people, I do one little typo. I say one little word wrong, and suddenly it's a 10-minute gag about how I can't speak. It's like that's one of the reasons. No offense, Andres and William, but it's like really listening to that SS Gridman video. It's like I have to repeat myself several times. I don't know. I'm sorry. Very sorry about that. So, but yeah, it's nice just to get my thoughts out there and correct my own dialogue when I can correct it, instead of like somebody like taking a 10-minute aside saying like, hey, you said the word wrong, you suck. Yes, I do have a habit of saying words wrong, and I do have, unfortunately, a limited vocabulary. But at the same time, you don't get anywhere when you're constantly pushing the guy down the stairs just because he doesn't hold on to the railing the right way. So, anyways, I had to get that off my chest. Other than that, I had a great day today, and not just the Godzilla movie. Um, the surprise character is Rodan. Rodan is briefly seen in the movie, but he does got a couple of memorable sequences. And the best way I can describe Rodan in this movie is he's the most nastiest he's ever been. He's definitely more antagonistic than any other version we've ever seen Rodan, including the original 1956 movie. And it's funny because in addition to being Rodan as we know him, as we know and love him, he also has elements of the giant claw. In fact, his big action sequence, it's like I wouldn't be surprised if they took some elements from there, complete with like the giant eyeball appearing into jets as Air Force pilots desperately try to escape. But he also reminded me a bit of, and hopefully I'm not just saying this because I revisited a movie lately on Netflix. The Rodan in this movie is almost like a kaiju version of the Chamberlain Skeksis from the Dark Crystal. Especially in the end where Rodan decides to change sides, and he gives the biggest, for lack of a better term, crap-eating grin I have ever seen on a CGI character. Much like the crap-eating grin that the Chamberlain from the Dark Crystal had. It's like I was expecting Rodan to go, so you'll know the scene when you see it. But yeah, this was a very cool version of Rodan, and I'm glad that we're probably going to see more of him in the future if the Hollywood gods are willing. King Ghidorah, getting back to King Ghidorah, yeah, he was a great heavy. Now he definitely was a lot nastier and more. This is the way I always imagined King Ghidorah before. It's not since Grand King Ghidorah from Mothra 3 have we had a King Ghidorah who is definitely as evil and as horrible as he is. He's a magnificent bastard is the best way I can describe it. So, and it is cool how they reveal his alien origins because slight spoiler coming. Usually when King Ghidorah loses one of his heads, it's like we're nearing the end of the fight. But this new iteration of King Ghidorah, yeah, he solved the decapitation problem in a new way, and it's really cool. I will say this though, I do like that there are some minor personalities, even though it's not as major as it's been hyped up to be in news articles. But the middle head is definitely the leader and the most dominant of the three. The left head is the most stoic and just knows how to follow orders. The right head is kind of an idiot. So much so that the middle head is constantly reprimanding him for being distracted by things that should not be distracting King Ghidorah. And yeah, so I think the right head is the baby head, so to speak. That sounded weird. But yeah, the four monsters came out great. The human characters, again, they're not breakthroughs or memorable, but they are very serviceable, all portrayed by very good actors. And of course, Ken Watanabe is the VIP of the thing. But I thought the Chandler, I think the name of the actor is, he does a good job playing the kind of not the macho man, but the lead, our protagonist character, if you will. Millie Bobby Brown, she's very good in her role, even if it's like, again, the human characters are not blank, one-dimensional slates as they're often described to be. You have to see them in action to really appreciate them, but they work out. And there are some characters that are there for a little bit of comic relief, but it's not as jarring as the television commercials have made them out to be. And I actually ended up liking quite a bit of them. Um, so yeah, that's all I'm going to say about the. That's my initial thoughts on Godzilla. I'm not going to get into spoilers because if I go into spoilers, we're going to be here for hours. I'm just going to say the whole plot. But this movie, if you go into this movie just wanting to have fun with quality popcorn entertainment, you're going to get that. If you're going in for, I know a lot of the early reviews, many of them are coming from news reporters and movie critics, even so-called nerd or geek critics who adored Godzilla 2014 for not dwelling on giant monsters. They don't like this movie, and I'm guessing those are the kind of wet blankets who kind of prefer their movies so serious that it abandons all the fantasy elements. The kind of people who they don't want to see magic battles in Harry Potter. They just want to see dark hallways and moody atmosphere and no magic battles. It's like, yeah, that's fun and all, but I can see that with any dark, moody drama. Um, but if you enjoyed Kong Skull Island, this is a much bigger, grandiose version of that movie. And again, just go in, have fun, enjoy it. It's a crowd pleaser. Out of 5 stars, I will give it a 4 for now. That rating might change to 3.5 stars if I see it again, or if I end up liking it a lot on repeat viewing, and I do plan on having a lot of repeat viewings. I'm definitely might step it up a bit to like 4.5 stars. If I was to do the 4-star rating system, it would definitely be 3.5 stars. So, but yeah, it's high up there. It's a really good movie. So now I am tired. I'm gonna do this artwork tomorrow. I'm too tired to be doing it right now. And I will talk to you guys later. I hope you enjoyed this vlog. I hope my spoilers weren't too extreme. And thank you so much to all my subscribers for putting up with this wacky little show of mine. All right, or lack of a show, if you will. So good night, everybody, and take care, and long live the king.